I do. I know there was something big that happened in the news today, but before we get to that, I just want to let our listeners, our viewers, oh, we have none yet. That's because they're just signing on. So for
Mhm.
those of you that will be signing on and watching this in replay, we do this every week to review the podcast, which is Friends Like Us. This is the actual YouTube, which is talking about the podcast. Friends Like Us, which is available on Apple Podcasts. It's available on Spotify. It's very easy. It's a really
Yeah.
great episode out this week too with Yamanika Saunders.
I know, I'm so glad
Yamanika is back.
she's back on the podcast.
She's behaving. She's like my child. It's like, but she's really good episode this week with her. So I was very happy and proud of her. And
That's
she's on a
awesome.
healthy mission, healthy
Mm.
lifestyle. We just posted a clip of it on our Instagram on Friends Like Us. So check that out. So that's why we do this every Saturday on YouTube, unless I'm on the road. But we have been here for quite some time. So,
Yeah.
here we are.
Wow.
And most important, send us some reviews on Apple Podcast. Let us know. Even though you like listen to the podcast and you're like, you probably put up do another review.
Do another one.
The reviews help us out. So, hello,
Mm.
Ginny.
Hello, hello.
So, what's going on with you, Evelyn? How's your life?
My life is good. Yeah, Valentine's Day was on
Oh,
Tuesday.
I don't celebrate that.
I didn't celebrate on the day, but I celebrated the weekend before, which was really nice. My girlfriend is like she studied urban planning in college and things like that. So we went to the New York City Transit Museum, learned all about
Oh,
the subway system, which is very interesting. And then we went to this place in Brooklyn called the Chocolate Room, which is essentially just everything on the menu was chocolate. So it was really, really quite lovely. The highlight of my week for sure.
is there any chocolate men available?
You know, I don't think so. I didn't see any
I'm
in
sorry.
the chocolate room.
Valentine's Day.
Mhm.
Um, that's exciting. That's like a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. It was a really nice. We did it on Sunday, which is like a really nice way to start the week, and then watch the Super Bowl, which like I wasn't super
No, me neither.
into. I can't really get into it, but I did watch for Rihanna's halftime show, which was fantastic.
I think most of us were doing that. It's so funny because I was at the cellar for the Super Bowl and
Nice.
I watched it like it's like I'm not even watching the TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's on, but I'm
Mhm.
not really watching.
I know, like, the only times, like, I've gone to, like, Super Bowl, like, parties, like, it's really just for me to spend time with, like, my friends, like, I never really pay attention. I'm from kind of close to Philadelphia, so I was, like, lightly rooting for the Eagles, but, yeah, it wasn't a huge, huge deal for me.
It was funny because I was with someone from Philly who was not rooting for Philly
Oh, really?
because they were betting. So
Oh,
they're practical, I guess.
that's
They
so
they
funny.
knew that they wanted to make money. So they were
Wild.
like, "No," and I was like, "But you're from Philly. How could you not root for
I
your own?"
know.
But they were like, "No, but I know who's gonna win, so I need to make that money." So I was like, "Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense."
I respect the hustle.
What'd you think about the Rihanna performance?
I thought it was really good. I mean, it's, like, crazy that she was, like, on all these, like, flying platforms and things and, like, pregnant, like, that's so wild and cool. Her voice was incredible, as always. Yeah, I thought it was really, really fun. I think any criticisms that I've seen, people were like, "It wasn't enough," like, there wasn't enough
They
show.
want
I
her to
thought it
move, and
I
she's
know, but
pregnant.
yeah, I know. I thought it was perfect, as it was. It was so good. I was watching, I was like, maybe like this will be a prelude to another album, and I don't think that'll be the case, since she is pregnant, but who knows?
I love Sujay. Sujay, I just wanna say all your comments are so right in brand with friends like us. I look back at all of your comments from, like, YouTube, and, you're so on point. So thank you for being a listener. I just want to say you too, Jenny. But I've Sujay, you and I hope I'm saying your name right. You're new to us, so I just want to say thank you and thank you. Terrific episode. He's saying just listen to it this morning. The farmers market story. Because I always fight at the farmers market.
Of course.
I got issues. So yes, so there. But yeah, I'm with you on the Rihanna thing. It was funny because Yamanika was there. She was dancing, and we were dancing, and like the rest of them were just like, "Let's get back to the football." And but I thought I did miss some of her songs. Like I wish she had done "Please Don't Stop the Music."
Yeah, me too. I wanted that
Yeah,
one. I wanted
yeah.
Disturbia.
Oh
She
yeah, a lot of
didn't
people wanted
do.
Disturb. Yeah, weird.
I know, yeah, it was, and there was, like, one song that she did, like, really, like, I think up top in her set. I was like, "Oh, that's kind of interesting." Like, I didn't expect that she would do that one. But yeah, it's incredible. Just like I don't know, like, if she's been doing live performances recently. I don't think
I
so.
don't
I
think
think she's
so.
been focusing on her business, and her voice is, like, as good as ever. It's so amazing.
Yes. I'm just realizing I don't look into the camera enough. That's why I just went like, "Yes." Sometimes there is a thing that our, Jay, who I was just telling you, my old sound editor was showing me on these, on NVIDIA, which is
Mm,
a graphics card that I have in my
okay.
computer that makes your eyes look like it's looking at you even when you're looking down.
I hate that.
It'll but because he was talking to me and he was like, "Have you noticed that my eyes haven't, like, looked down? I'm looking down, but I'm looking at you." And I was like, "That's weird."
That's
So,
really weird.
I'm gonna play with it next week when we're on live,
That's
but
so
it
funny.
looks kind of like for me, it made my eyes do this.
Oh, I don't like that.
It was, like, really bizarre, but like, there's all these tricks now because people do, like, interviews on Zoom still.
Right.
People still do virtual stuff, but, it is funny when you do this, it looks like, "I'm looking into your soul, Evelyn."
Yeah, it really does. Does it does, like, the
No, this
thing
is
blink?
actually me doing it,
Oh,
but
yeah, yeah.
if I had the filter, it would do it all the time no matter what.
That's so crazy. I don't think I like that. I feel like I don't know, technological advances need to stop somewhere.
Are we neighbors, Suji? Hey, say word. Um, that was me doing my and Stuttgart, Germany. I love it. All the way from Germany. I gotta put that up again.
Mm.
I'm always amazed when we have guests on here from Germany, Sweden.
Yeah,
We've had like Africa, Ghana. It's like always just amazing to me.
I know.
Jenny, what is Jenny? Jenny say I graduated from real estates. Oh, cool. So I'll be able
Yay.
to get caught up on Flu and their reviews and leave us a review. Please do. Thanks for your patience. Of course. And we love you too, Jenny. Thank you so much. And Jenny and I have been talking. We have our little like DMs, our little private conversations about who will be joining us soon.
Of course.
Cause oh my God, he can be such a doozy.
Mhm.
But yeah, so Rihanna's pregnant and what a great way to reveal that she's pregnant and how everybody was like questioning it. I was too far away from the TV, so I wasn't able to do anything. Like no one was really talking about it at the cellar. It was really
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
We were all like, Mateo was dancing, but it was really funny how all the people who were not really into football left right right after Rihanna performed.
Yep, that's the way it goes. I turned the show or the game off after the
Oh, you
halftime
did?
show. Yeah, I was like, "I don't really care," and I saw statistics, like, apparently, like, somehow they, like, were looking into it, like, more viewers were watching the halftime show than, like, the actual game itself.
Did you like the commercials?
I thought they were yeah, I thought they were fine. There weren't a ton that, like, stood out to me besides, like, there was that one, like, really religious one. Um,
Which one
it
was
was
that?
like there was this it was, from this organization called, like, He Gets Us. It was about, like, Jesus, basically.
What is
Um,
that?
Yeah, there was that one. I remember the, like, Tubi one, where it's, like, everyone thought their,
Oh,
like,
that's
TVs were
right.
being changed. I don't particularly, like, there weren't, like, any, like, really funny ones this year that I remembered.
I know, you're right, they weren't exception Yamanika was in one
Really?
with
Oh, no, I did
the
see her.
roast.
Yeah, it was a roast, I remember that.
Yeah, and then there was the John Travolta singing, "You're the one" and I you know
Yeah,
what, though? I missed it made me think of Olivia Newton-John, so
yeah.
I kinda got sad. Even though
Yeah.
everyone liked it, I was like, "Aw. Oh."
Yeah. Oh, then there's the one about, like, the, like, dog getting old, and they, like, didn't, like, had, like, a pet from, like, puppy to, like, old age, and, like, that was just really sad.
I think everyone is so nervous about things being funny anymore, like
Mm,
what you can make fun of. A lot of
yeah.
people I did a college, as you know, like that
Mhm.
it was more of a festival, which was funny because remember I wrote you and I said,
Yeah.
"Is this a college or I thought it was a college, and it was so much fun because it was a festival.
Oh, that's great.
Because there was like kids there, students there who were also comedians, and one who opened for me from Africa who
Oh, that's great.
English is not his first language, and he was really good. But a lot of comedians don't like doing colleges anymore because they feel like the colleges are too sensitive.
Yeah,
But I had a really good time talking about that.
that's awesome.
They gave me a standing ovation.
That's so nice. That's
I
incredible.
kn I know. But I was also like I was shocked, but then I was also so comfortable talking to them about how I know where we are with comedy
Yeah.
and how things can be, like people are nervous around younger people now about jokes. I go,
Yeah.
"But, if you set it up right and you just kind of work the magic, we can all figure it out."
Yeah.
And I said this and I go and I say that to say, "You may not like this next joke." But they
That's
were
funny.
so on board because there was, for the first time, I felt like I was able to talk in between the jokes instead of just doing the jokes
Mm,
without because I think what happens is we're not really talking to each other, and so since we're
yeah.
taking everything out of context, why not put it into context for people?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it also helps. It's actually funny. When I was a college student, I did this comedy festival with like my college comedy group, and it was really fun. And I think it also helps like when the students like are also comedians, because
Yes.
they have that context. They perhaps know what it's like to have like say something on stage and have it be like misinterpreted or misunderstood. So they, like, get it a little bit more than, like, the average audience might.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So, is the Chinese balloon is there any more?
I don't know, I don't think so. I think the most recent update that I heard was that they had, like, shot down the other one, like, over the ocean, I think, and then, like, had suspended efforts to, like, try to find, you know, detritus of it.
Mm.
So, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, that makes me nervous. I don't like that there are all these spy balloons over the US and, like, North America.
Yeah, it does. But they say that it has always happened, but that,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's very scary.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, just a lot of weird things happening, and then, like, that train derailment in Ohio with all the chemicals
Yes.
is really freaky. Thankfully, like, I don't have any, like, family or, like, friends in that area, but, like, it's, my family and friends in Chicago, like, growing up, my parents would, like, just drive from, like, outside Philadelphia to Chicago, and you drive kind of through that area of Ohio, so it's a little nerve-wracking.
And how about that plane that dipped in December that they're just now realizing how
Yeah,
far it like,
it's
in
so
I think it was like
scary.
45 seconds?
Mhm. It was something really fast, and it's like all these, like, weird plane things have been happening, like, 2 planes, like, almost, like, hitting each other on the runway, yeah, it really makes you not wanna fly or, like, go anywhere.
I mean, but the thing with flying makes sense that it's kind of crazy. I mean, that I knew was going to happen because people are traveling more now than ever because they were stuck at home for so long.
Yeah, totally.
So the system is breaking.
Yeah.
JFK, was it JFK? The lights are out. Is it JFK?
What? The lights are out at JFK?
I think it's JFK. We'll bring on the knucklehead who's sitting. I can see you. I can see you, knucklehead. I see you waiting. But the lights are out.
Oh my god.
And you see like people from other places and you're like, this is weird. They're like, this doesn't happen. So like there's a plane going to Paris, I believe, empty.
Mm. What?
Yeah, because they can't do technical stuff. But it's I call this being in New York. You know what I
Mhm.
think it is also? New York, you ever look at someone working and you realize they got a shitty job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think I could curse on here. I forget I'm on YouTube. Sometimes they block stuff.
Yeah.
They have like a crappy job.
Yeah.
And so it's like a lot of times, like people just don't want to be there.
Yeah.
So I think that has a lot to do with a lot of what's going on right now. Remember where they were talking about quiet quitting,
Mhm.
and now there's called resentivism, or when people just resent the fact that they're at a job that they don't want to do. Well,
Yeah.
that affects everything,
Yeah. I agree.
including let's add on. Let's bring should we bring them on, everybody? What do you
Yeah.
think? Oh. Here you go, and we're bringing on the man. We're bringing on the white man. Oh, Dave Juskow,
Hello,
everybody.
everybody. Nice to be here. Happy Saturday. Listen, let me just lead off that, as you may or may not know, and I don't know what you did on Valentine's Day, Marina, but I feel like we could have
Nothing.
hung out. So the day after, which would be Wednesday the 15th, I started my year-long journey to get a date for this 2024 Valentine's Day. So, Evelyn, are you interested?
Unfortunately, I think I will have plans.
I'm asking everybody I know.
I'm on
So,
Silver Singles, and it looks horrible. It's horrific.
well,
Wait,
that's why
what's
we got to
Silver
start
Singles?
now. Don't don't
Silver.
don't answer that, Marina. Let's not talk about it. Um, nobody needs to know what that is. But Marina, why don't we? I mean, let's
It's
do
just
this.
it's a bunch of men in the camera like this.
Let's set up a. So we have to February 14th, 2024 is going to be awesome. Hello, Jenny.
You should
Yeah,
try to get on Raya.
I know. I was actually supposed to be on Riot. I just the whole thing, it makes me feel ugh. But I
Yeah.
am gonna do it. I figured on Silver Singles I could clean up because I don't look like my age, and a lot of them do. And I was like on there, and I was just like, wow. I mean, some of the guys who are my age, I'm like, what happened? What happened, man?
Yeah.
Men just age so poorly. And I try not to make generalizations, but I think it's fair to say that dudes, like, they will look like at least like 10 years older than they actually are.
The worst part is when I watch movies and I see people, the ones that I saw when I was a kid, and people are old, and then I realize they're younger than I am now, and it's horrible. It's like the
Mm.
worst. It's like even those two old men in Trading Places might be younger than me now. It's completely unacceptable. I don't think that's the case, but when that happens, I think it's over for me.
There was someone recently on the news talking about retiring from a coach. I know you're into sports, but wait a minute. It was like
Yeah.
you're into sports. I was like, I forget. He was like 50, and I was like, or no,
That is,
turning
yeah.
50, and
Well,
he
if it's
looked
a
like
football coach, they do get burned out really easy. It's a year-long job. They can barely keep families together. It's just
Oh my
it takes so
God.
much out of you. Yeah, it's like really you have to put so much time. It's like one of those things you just don't think. It's like they only play every Sunday, right? But it's
Yeah.
nowadays. I think it used to be different, but nowadays it's 24/7. They're on Sunday night they get ready for the next week, and even after the Super Bowl now they're making they're making plans for the next season. It's very difficult, and
Ooh.
I think they get burned out really early.
What'd you
I
think
think
about the
social
super? Oh,
media.
go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think social media is like such a huge part of it. Like, I don't follow the NFL, but like I watch baseball and I watch hockey, so I follow like the NHL and the MLB like on social media, and like those social media teams like are having like players and coaches like do like TikTok trends and things like that like all the time now. So it's like not even beyond like the scope of what their
And the
actual
organization
job
tells them
is.
they have to do that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just like in the Super Bowl, or the Super Bowl is a bad example, but I think I don't know, it was a college game, I think, the last one, and the guy was down, 35-0 at the half, and they have to do the television interview. The coach has to
Ugh.
do, and he's like, "What is he going to say?" He's like, "Well, can I can we do this later?" But he has to do it. It's like
Right.
his job. And
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's nothing worse than being interviewed when you're down 35-0 at the half.
Yeah.
So did you
Meanwhile,
like Rihanna?
oh, sorry. Well, I was shocked. I guess nobody knew she was pregnant. I was just
No.
like, what's going on? When's she going to take that coat off and, show like an outfit? That's what I was thinking was going to happen. And then the whole time I'm looking, I'm like, did she gain weight? Like, I didn't know anything about her in the sense
Mm.
of, I didn't know she had a first kid, and I didn't know it was with ASAP Rocky or whatever, who I actually saw
ASAP.
perform live.
ASAP.
Yeah, whatever. I saw him perform live with The Weeknd once. He was terrific.
That's cool.
And so, yeah, that was surprising. It's a lot of balls, to do that. And then be on those high platforms when you're pregnant. I can't even imagine.
I know that was
It was
terrifying.
terrifying. But she
Yeah.
was really good, and I love the little move she put together, being pregnant and still dancing a little bit. That's kind of a dance that I could do. They put together the simplest dance, but I loved it. I thought she was really terrific. Her voice sounds good, and
I love the part where she like touched up her makeup with like her
that was
company's
awesome.
products. Like,
Yeah, that was really cool, and I love the fact that it was just her and she didn't have any special guests. That's the way to
yeah,
do it. When you're asked to do it, go for it all. It's your day. Why are you bringing on guests? Why take a risk that somebody's going to show you up? You know,
yeah,
I hate when they do that. I don't care for that.
I agree.
I'm looking at headlines and I just saw pastor. It's not funny, but pastor dies trying to recreate Jesus's 40-day fast.
That's pathetic.
What did he think was
I mean, I
gonna
know it's not. I
happen?
should
Who
be
does he think he's, Russ
laughing,
Maneve?
but like 40. Like, dude, what are you doing?
Just
Yeah, well, that was a lot easier to do back in the day when food was rare.
Yeah. Also, like,
They
I
were
don't.
used to not eating every other day.
Right. Oh,
Hey,
man.
guys, my class,
What
Paul
about
Rudd
it?
is
How
talking
are
to the
the
kids
kids?
next week.
What'd you say?
Paul Rudd's talking to the kids next week.
Really?
Really?
Oh
Isn't
my
that
god, they
great?
will. They're going. Do they know?
Yeah, they know. I told them.
Oh my god,
How
they're
did you
gonna
did
lose
you
their
get him
mind.
to do it?
Yeah, I texted him and he texted back. I was like, "Would you?" He's like, "Yeah, that sounds great." Yeah,
What?
sorry, I was in Australia. I would have texted you back sooner.
Oh my
Are you
god.
serious?
He's the best person.
Now,
That's
did
so
you have a
funny.
relationship with him previously?
Yeah, but I didn't think he would actually be a. I mean, his new Marvel movie came out yesterday.
Yeah.
I didn't think he would have time. The kids are thrilled. They had so many questions, like, but why do you know him? It doesn't add up.
That's the main
Those are the
question.
real questions.
Yeah, so I was just like, look, kids, when you get to a certain age, you meet people along. No, that does not add up. Like,
I've hung out with Paul Rudd one time. Like, he's very cool, very nice
so
guy,
cool. So
He
cool.
was.
very down
I
to earth.
met him twice when I was in college. I was working at as like an intern at Jack's Media production company, and which produced his show of his that he did a few years ago. And he came in, and I was just like working the front desk, and he was just like so lovely. Like you can really tell like how good like celebrities are by how they treat like interns and like assistants. And he was like really
He
really
truly is a
nice.
regular guy. It's fascinating. I think that's how you have longevity. Somebody like him. I mean, the fact that he looks exactly the same way he looked in Clueless probably has a little bit to do with it. that he hasn't aged. And as you were saying,
Yeah, he looks good.
He's defied everything
Good.
you just said, Evelyn, right?
Yeah, he's the
But
one exception.
but you also have to be a pleasant person to work with. Katherine Heigl, she's
Yeah.
apparently a nightmare.
I've
She's
heard.
getting
Yeah,
some more
everyone
work
talks about this.
again, but people hate her and writers hate her. So we haven't seen her in a while, even though
Tell the story. What is it? She did something. I just read this recently, like where she did something that prevented them from receiving an award, right?
Uh,
What?
if that's recent, I don't know about it, but I know about 10 years ago, she was just talking about the writing on a film she was in and dissing it. And then she just got hated from, the industry. Just an ungrateful little, why sign on for the movie then if you hated the script that much? She's just blaming because nobody wants to see a Katherine Heigl movie.
I saw her on The View, and she had her mother on, and I believe she adopted a child, and I was just looking at the child for any signs of abuse.
Yeah, exactly. Because she probably adopted a child to try and get back into show business, which is terrifying.
Oh, because if you have a kid, they like you.
I mean, yeah, I think she has somebody telling her that maybe. Do you ever see that Simpsons episode where Troy McClure did that? I mean, it's just Jeff Goldblum played his agent. He goes, well, the real thing, because he got married, he's gay or whatever his thing was, that he liked fish, but he married one of Marge's sisters as a sham marriage so he could get more parts, and he was getting more parts. And then they're like, but the big people now is going to kids people that have babies, the families.
Yeah.
And then Marge's sister was like, and it was, it's a Simpsons cartoon. And she says, I'm sorry, but that draws the line for me. I'm uncomfortable about that. It was like kind of serious, but it was interesting. I just finished this book yesterday. I think I was telling you, the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo,
Oh, that's a good book. Yeah.
You read it?
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I know that's a fiction book, but
Yeah.
there probably was that kind of thing, sham marriages, all that kind of thing. So especially back in the 50s and 60s. So poor Rock Hudson, you feel so bad for that guy. His whole career, he's got to pretend he's not gay.
I was actually just reading like an article about that last night, like during the golden age of Hollywood. There was like this one particular like woman who worked for like a children's home that would like supply children to like Hollywood starlets to like.
Well, I always think that what happened to Tom Cruise's and Nicole Kidman's original kids? Where are they? Were they returned back to the studio? What happened?
Yeah, who's to say?
Yeah, exactly. It's really freaky, and that I think they do it just to be stars. And I believe with all my heart that's what Katherine Heigl did.
So Ryan Seacrest bows out of
I just heard
Live
about that
with Kelly Ripa.
I'm
Oh,
so upset
wow.
about that because I think they're replacing him with her husband. And
Yes,
that's why I
Mark
stopped watching the
Consuela.
show, because Kelly Ripa was so sexy. I was like, I don't want to hear about your husband.
She's I've watched her since All My Children. Do you remember
Right.
watching her on All My She
Her
is
and
a
her husband.
phenomenal actress, actually.
Well, it's soap opera acting, but
No, she's a very I had my theater teacher at the time worked with her too. I saw her at University of Illinois. Like, she's a phenomenal actress. This is just, sometimes you land in a zone where you end up being a host and you're making money and it works for you. But she's a
Hey,
really great
she
actress.
must be a great actress. She's been, she took over a very high profile gig to replace Kathy Lee, which turned out, now we look at it as really easy, but Kathy Lee was beloved, and take it over. You have to be good at something to keep it going all these years, especially after kicking also Regis out, maybe before he was ready to go, and still not hated. I mean, that's a talent, and that is acting, isn't it? Because there's so much going on behind the scenes.
I see Juskow is still clueless.
Sure.
So hello, DJ Eric Prince. You just missed that Juskow is going to have Paul Rudd in his class, right?
Hi, Catalina. Yeah.
How do you know him?
You're just like the kids. Isn't that funny?
He
No, but
knows he knows
seriously.
everyone. He knows because he was you know what happens, Evelyn? I'm gonna answer part of this and then let him. But you know, when you're coming up as a comic, like I was and like Jessica was, you know, decades ago or in before Christ. So you start with all of these people who are
Yeah.
coming up and you just know them and you're in the grind with them and you have friends like he's best friends with Dave Attell and you know so
Mm.
you know you know and then you just your careers go off in different directions but that doesn't make the relationship any less but
Yeah,
Mm.
and I got
so
lucky in the sense that, I'm not a Marina great comic or anything, but I was lucky that these people always thought I was funny anyway. Like
Mm.
I had one good set in 1996, and that kind of stuck. Like, no, he's good, he's good. And like when I was at the Chappelle thing in Madison Square Garden, remember? He comes up, he sees the back of my head, he goes, "That's Dave Juskow. I can't believe it." I mean, I was like, "How did you recognize me from the back of my head?" I'd recognize that head anywhere. I mean, it's like I'm very lucky. They always like because right, Marina. There's people we started out with that we don't keep in touch with,
yeah they do
and
yeah but
so even though I
Colin
wasn't
Quinn
in the
actually has always said I'm bothered by the fact that you bring up Dave Juskow's name still. Why is he still being brought up?
people are always upset about that, but yeah, somehow I've remained somehow relevant in the comedy community without doing comedy. So I don't know. It's some sort of thing, and I'm really good at just keeping in touch with people as I've been before Facebook and before all these social media. I would keep in touch with people from elementary school to high school. I told the kids, I'm like, I got a lot of friends who are stockbrokers too, and you never ask me about them. So I feel like I know somebody everywhere. I know a lot of good people, a lot of bad underground people.
Yeah.
I've met so many people along the way, but I'm really good at keeping relationships. So Paul and I met through actually another friend and a girl I was going out with, and we just kind of he's that kind of guy you hit it off with, and then we had a night, we get a little high and do some karaoke together, and have breakfast in the morning, like because and then you just remain friends. Before pot was legal, I do this on stage all the time. I miss it being illegal because it was the ultimate bonding experience that everybody got. Oh, you get high too? And it was like the ultimate way to meet friends. That's how Sarah and I started becoming friends. We
Have you
realized we both
gotten
like
any
getting
weed
high.
from the dispensaries that have
Yeah.
opened up yet?
Oh, not in New York. I went to Jersey one recently.
I have been in New York because I think technically, like, some of them are not actually allowed to be open yet. So, like, it's not that like that in and of itself like makes me not want to, but I'm like, is this like sketchy? Like,
You can tell if it's sketchy if there's like a sad sorry, but this is true brown guy just in the way back of the room just sitting there
Yeah.
looking like he's high or
yeah,
depressed and there's just candy. There's
yeah,
just a lot of offers for candy. No
yeah.
Well,
actual.
well, I went to a Jersey one about a month ago over the George Washington Bridge. There was one outside. Steve took me there actually, and it was so clean, but it was really annoying. It was you had to go to the kiosk to do it, and then you can't pay by credit card. It's actually taking money out of an ATM machine using your credit card.
They do
So
that.
I'm like, look, just are we doing this or are we not doing it? It's like there's all these, we're making it legal, but there's also loopholes. It's really frustrating.
Well, I
So
heard the one by Gotham is actually pretty easy. You just go in, it's fine. In Chicago, it's funny, like they're ahead of us, right?
Yeah.
But you still have to go in. They have long lines sometimes, but there's like out in the suburbs where I go all the time. They take credit cards. They're starting to get smoother. I think a lot of these places that are just new at it is going to take some time to get out the kinks.
yeah, right. Because I remember in California, I just went up, I got what I wanted, and I gave him my credit card, and it was over. And here there seems to be a lot of it. Like they had to have a guy help you, and I'm like, I don't want it. I mean, if I ask you for help, that'd be nice, but I just want to buy the weed, and I don't want anybody to talk to me.
Is that true? The banks don't do credit card transactions? Because they did it in Chicago.
I thought they did it in LA too. I could have sworn I had it
Yeah,
on
I've
my
done
credit
it
card.
in Colorado, and it's just
Yeah,
time. There's a
I do it
stock
every
I
week.
think called weed.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that you can.
I actually was on that stock for a while. One of those, what do they call it? EFGs or something or something that you could
Oh.
play all the stocks at once that had to do with weed. So I was on that because I thought it was going to get big, but it still hasn't taken off yet, like
Yeah, my
corn.
uncle was like, that you could get this stock. He was like, it's called weed. I've been doing okay this week. The stock market is still kind of up and down and kind of crazy, but
Yeah.
I've figured it out. I'm glad I've looked at it and I've studied it for the past year because now I know
ETFs. Thank you, Ted.
what I'm
Exactly.
doing. Oh,
ETFs.
ETFs. Yeah, I stay away from anything I don't.
Well, that's a good way to put in a little money on a lot of stocks, so they're not horrible.
What,
Like,
ETFs?
yeah. Like it's just you're putting on one thing, but it covers a bunch
Oh,
of
yeah. Oh,
stuff.
yes. Why am I saying ETFs? I'm thinking of something else. But yes, ETFs are very I always like mutual funds, and I think the best thing to do this year, just my little tip and advice, I'm new at this, but I always like to act like I know what I'm doing. You got to invest in corn. No.
I was hoping you were going to say that.
Corn. I'm gonna tell you why. No. But dividend stocks while the economy is still kind of fluctuating because it's going to take a while, dividend stocks are a very good defensive move. I would stay away from penny stocks. That's just a suggestion.
Yeah. No, penny stocks are really difficult. You have to do like a special thing to go into penny stocks, like with your investment company, and they always just tell you this is a very toxic stock, be careful. So if the investment company's telling you that, it's probably not a good sign.
These guys are also on YouTube. Earn Your Leisure. They're very good. Two brothers, not brothers, but brothers talking
Stace, are
about
you doing a
stocks.
graduate line?
And you should check them out. Earn Your Leisure. They're very good. Have a podcast, and they do live performances where they talk, and they're like revolutionary. It sells out. It's like they're doing arenas now, and
Oh, wow.
it's really great because they're educating people about financials, which I think financial education is the only way to really that's, I think, modern day protest. You can march if you want, but I think if you get financially smart and educated, you can fight a lot of this bullshit that's going on. I can't help but curse.
I think that's true.
What'd you catch, Dave?
Stace was doing a line from The Graduate. So
What's that?
I told you sometimes I talk to the chat room while just to.
What's the line?
Do you like, or was it? Do you like do you have plastics? Plastics. Remember the line plastics?
No.
It's when Mrs. Robinson is saying that to Dustin Hoffman.
Oh,
Talking about condoms.
we were talking about how I should probably go back to. Someone mentioned that. I forget who it was. Thank you for saying I should probably date young guys again. The young guys, though, they're exhausting. They be talking too much, and
they be talking too much.
They do. I was talking to someone last night about how I should not have done the latest of the young ones I dated, because he was always talking about high school, because high school was just his recent for him. I remember he was like, I'm going to go back and see my high school teacher. And I was like, why would you do that? That's right. You just graduated.
So with the kids in class, I made this assignment where they had to write a little dialogue of somebody they know, whether it's a parent or roommate or whatever, and catch some of their catchphrases or something like that the person might not know, but they hear. So a lot of them did their teachers. And I'm like, wow, how did you remember all of that stuff and all that wording they said? Because then I realized it was only like 3 years ago, like they were in high school. So, of course, I'm like thinking I couldn't remember a catchphrase my high school teacher said, but they were just there, possibly 5 years ago tops.
Tiger Woods apologizes for tampon prank on Justin Thomas.
Yeah, I heard about it. He was almost in tears for some reason.
Oh, why am I laughing? And it was supposed to be, I just sounds funny. It was supposed to be all fun and games.
It was a prank.
It was
Thank
like
you,
he just
Jonathan.
like handed him a tampon, I think. Was that basically I think that's what happened.
And he had to say he was sorry for that?
It's really sad. He should
Well,
have
because I
just.
think he was like implying that like that other guy's like a girl, like playing
Oh.
like a girl.
What's
But
up with Florida trying to do, we were talking about this on the podcast, checking women's menstrual cycle?
yeah, it's for like girls who play sports, because they want to prove that like all like female athletes are biological women,
Oh,
which
yeah,
is
because of that horrible U of P person. You heard about
uh
that with the changing in the locker rooms? They're like, we don't want this man changing with us.
hmm?
You know
There's a
that
guy changing?
the guy, the one who's breaking all the records because he's a man who's
It's not a
trans
man.
identifying as a woman in the University of Pennsylvania. Well, you know what I'm talking about? The swimmer. You don't
Yes, she's
know?
a woman.
Yeah, but it's not. I think she still has a penis or something. The girls are complaining in the locker room that there is technically a man undressing with them. I just
Having
read
a
about it
penis doesn't
last
make
week.
you a man.
Oh, really?
Evelyn, you know what I'm trying to say. If you were a girl and there was this hulking
If
man
I were a
dressing,
girl,
just go with me here. Can you imagine if there
She
was a
can't
guy,
because you sound like an idiot.
if there's a
yeah.
dude dressing with you in the locker room, the girls are complaining. They're like, this isn't right.
I really don't have a problem with other people changing
You
around
say
me.
that now, but if you were actually there and you were younger than you are now, you might have a problem
I
with
went
it.
to Vassar College, which had gender neutral restrooms. I've
Gender
had it
So, yeah, you're
for like
talking to the
10 years.
wrong,
Like
you're talking to the wrong person about who's,
I
Evelyn wouldn't be
showered, like
yeah.
I went to shower and showered with people of like
Well, you
all
have to
years.
respect people that are, though, right?
That
So
are
maybe there's
what?
3 or 4 people that are like, there's a guy in our dressing room, or
Why
there's
does she
somebody who
have
used
to
to be a
respect
guy.
it? She just doesn't agree with it.
Well, it's not fair to not respect others, who
Well,
feel that
you
way.
brought up an interesting point because I was going to mention that it's time, this article about it's time to stop vilifying J.K. Rowling. Pamela Paul in
Thank
the
you,
New
Jen.
York Times writes that the author is not transphobic. Critics of J.K. Rowling considered her to be transphobic in a dog, please.
Oh, I do hear the dog this time.
He doesn't like me talking about transphobia.
Very clearly.
In a podcast that launches next week, the Harry Potter author pushes back against that assertion, saying this is a campaign against Rowling and is as dangerous as it is absurd. The brutal stabbing of Salman Rushdie last summer is a forceful reminder of what can happen when writers are demonized. And in Rowling's case, the characterization of her as being transphobe doesn't square with her actual views. Yes, Rowling has supported the idea that certain places, such as domestic abuse shelters, should be designated for biological women only.
Jenny.
And yes, she has rejected the use of phrases such as people who menstruate to describe biological women, but nothing Rowling has said qualifies as transphobic. So
I didn't think she was transphobic, and it breaks my heart that everybody's down on her.
She is transphobic. And
Well,
like
you know what? Again, Evelyn, I mean, here's
well,
the
you
thing.
have to
It's
let
like
her finish. Let her
new.
finish her
You
point.
have to just let people. It's going to take some time for everybody to get on board.
right, but as it takes time, trans people are actively being murdered for just being who they are. Like,
Murdered? Where?
yes, all the time. Their Trans Day of Remembrance happens every year to remember the multiple hundreds of trans people that are murdered every year just for being trans. And
I thought the trans people were the murderers in every movie we've ever seen.
right. Which contributes to the idea that trans people are predators, that they're violent, which they are not. They're often, more often than not, the victims of violence.
Yeah.
I thought that essay from Pamela Paul, well, first of all, why do you need to defend a billionaire or like a millionaire? Like, I think she's fine defending herself. And also, I mean, it's part of this like larger discourse that I've been interested in reading up about the last week or so with the New York Times' coverage of trans issues.
Yes.
This was published in the New York Times the day after a letter was sent to them. There were two letters, one from like contributors of the New York Times, including like Roxane Gay, Tia Delento, like all these people saying like the way you're covering trans issues is actively harming trans
You see what
people.
Stace says too?
What did Stace say? Yeah, yes, and especially trans people of color are targeted. And then the organization GLAAD sent them a letter as well, saying that your coverage is harmful. And then the next day, they published it. Yeah, I mean, the thing about J.K. Rowling is I think all this coverage of her, like, it just keeps her in the news. Like, I think we should just stop talking about her.
Yeah, I agree. And I also, it's very interesting to me because she's fine. She's doing fine.
Yeah.
I want to say this, like this whole idea of cancel culture is such a myth. We're
Yeah.
just discussing it. That's it. But
Yeah.
but it's become like about, oh, you're canceling someone. It's really about something actually Sarah Silverman said recently about the term woke is like the inability to look within yourself is very difficult. And a lot of people don't have that ability to admit that they have ignorance on some things or that they have some fear about not know, that ignorance, and they can't
Yeah.
look within. It's a very it's massive. I mean, I'm trying to make it. It's like it's very common
Yeah.
that people have a difficult time with something they don't know, and so they respond and oh, that's cancel culture or that's
Totally.
woke. And here's the thing: is like take a moment with yourself and just because I've had to do it too. And it was difficult even for me. That's why I wrote that joke about they was
Yeah.
because there was a moment when I was like wrong about stuff or I wasn't like really taking a moment with it. And I actually got angry at the fact that someone got angry at me. And then I had to look at myself and go, why am I so angry
Yeah.
at the fact that this is something I don't know? Like I got angry as a Black woman, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking to myself, Marina Franklin, me, who's, I'm very empathetic and I try my best. Why was my initial reaction one of anger when someone was just trying to explain something? And a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have the awareness to go, oh my God, I just got angry about something. A lot of people just don't do that. So
I
if
so
we
agree.
took the time out to just really analyze what that is and just take a step back and just, for a moment and just really listen to people, which we aren't doing,
Yeah.
then, things can really evolve into a much better conversation.
I agree. And like Dave, to be clear, like I don't have a problem with people taking time to like adjust. And like I know it's so different from like, for example, with my parents, they're like in their 60s, and I know that like they don't automatically like get like queer and trans issues. And like I think it's important to like educate oneself and like fully understand and like take that time. I think that is important, and that like no one's just going to automatically get it. I think it's like but I do think it's different than like someone taking there's a difference between someone taking the time to like understand and like actively like rejecting or like demonizing an
I
identity.
understand, but you're pretty like you get it, taking the
Yeah.
time, but a lot of people don't, and they
Yeah.
just want it to happen right now.
Yeah. And I
And
know
that's
I
the thing.
admit I think that is a flaw of like people who are more progressive and
It's
left
funny,
wing.
I mean, I grew up in the '80s. People couldn't come out as gay. I had a lot of because I was in the musical theater. I
Of
certainly had a
course.
lot of friends who were practicing gay, and it was very confusing for me. And I was taught to be confused by them, and I'm using confused as a polite term. And it's funny now when I talk to Mateo about this sometimes, Mateo Lane, the comic, because Marina and I know a lot of comics, and I think we've spoken about this before, that couldn't even talk about being gay on stage, and the freedom that Mateo has and how wonderful he is on stage talking about it. not even saying I came out or just talking about gay issues in this. If Evelyn on stage can talk about it, I just don't want people to forget all these poor guys that we started with that couldn't even do that just were comedians, but not talking about themselves because the audience just wouldn't understand. And and that's what 20, 30 years ago. So I mean, we've really made strides, and some people forget that we've gotten a little bit further, even though it always seems like we are going back. But there are certain things that are, pretty, like, even having a black president, something when Marina and I were born, we're like, that's never going to happen in our lifetime. So I mean,
Sujay, are you married? What's up? Let's see here. The same rhetoric that was used to discriminate against gay people is not redirected towards trans. I think is now is now redirected towards trans and ENBY. What's ENBY?
It's like non-binary.
Okay, people, because it drives the culture war debate away from policy. That is so true. Policy debates. Yeah, Sujay, what's up? Who you with?
Is that your
I
real
love Sujay. Every time Sujay because I looked back at our YouTube from like the weeks before and I didn't notice the comments and I was like, oh my God, he's so right. Speaking of Dave Chappelle,
Where's he from?
I found this old picture of us hanging out. Can you see that?
Yes, I can. Who's the third guy?
I don't know.
Oh.
But this was for Christy Teigen's birthday party, like about, I would say, I think this was like 7 or 8 years ago. And we were just doing like little pictures. Look at me. I'm the only one who's into taking the photograph.
Those are nice photos, though.
Oh, that's interesting, Tibby. I just read that story last week. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah. It's so funny because I'm friends with all of these guys that like, like even Dave Chappelle and stuff. And it's difficult because I can't, it's like, I can't really talk about him in a negative way publicly. I disagree with a lot of things, but I just don't. He's just such a good friend. It's such a difficult thing in our field when you have friends that you disagree with and then they're public and they're huge stars and people interview you.
Yeah.
And then you have to like take a stand, right? You have to take a stand. So I think Sarah does it the best. I love the way Sarah
but it also
handles
makes it difficult for, well, maybe not you, but me. Sometimes when you go to Western Jersey and they're like, you're friends with that Sarah Silverman, they don't care for her political
the other
views.
way, right?
So it's really difficult sometimes too to keep the balance.
Wow. On the other side, that's interesting.
Yeah, I get it a lot. I'll get people call me and they'd be like, how could you be friends with somebody like that? I mean, lots of calls.
Really?
I know people everywhere in the sense of everywhere's political views. And
what do you say?
I just say, hey, I don't agree with everything she says too. I try and keep the peace. I mean, I don't know what's going to make them feel better, but there are people that that we both know that you probably wouldn't even believe that they're saying that to me.
No, I believe it. You know what's
Right,
interesting?
you believe it, but
yeah, because
you'd
they talk to me. I'm often the one that they go, as a black person, I feel like I can say this to you, which I'm always like, I gotta do better. But
you need to be less approachable.
I mean, when I opened for Sarah in North Carolina, I was wondering, like, because my mother, my mom, well, we won't get it.
She told me you're opening for her at the Beacon.
Yes.
Exciting.
Yes.
I was with her yesterday.
That's a positive story. We won't talk about my mom. But I have Jewish cousins in North Carolina who already, my mom has them going to the show.
That's so exciting.
I don't know these people. she's like, your cousins are she's talking about them like she's known them her whole life. She's like, your cousins already have tickets. Apparently they know Sarah.
It was in the Post, Tibby.
Huh?
I was talking to Tibby.
Oh. But yeah, it's very, the Fox News thing where they knew that the information about the election was wrong, like behind the scenes.
It's terrifying. That whole thing is terrifying.
Is that a shock though to anyone that they're performative as a news channel?
No, I mean, like, I don't think it's
Just disappointing.
like, I don't think that's like news to like anyone who is progressive. I think the like particularly scary thing is that like, but they're still getting funding and like able to brand themselves as a news organization when like they're actively spreading misinformation. And like,
So,
how can we like, stop them
at least
from
that
doing that?
Nikki Haley admitted that that Biden is the president. There was no, I mean, she's, a
Yeah.
Republican who's saying that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the rest of her stuff is tough, but other than that, at least somebody's saying the truth. It's so
She
weird,
seems
so
more
horrible.
sane, at least, than like Trump or Ron DeSantis.
Right. Yeah, I always liked her until I saw her. I guess, I don't know. We got to see where she lands in the abortion issue, right? What, a woman's going to be against that? I mean, that's insane.
Oh, she certainly
But
will
she
be.
said that there's no racism in America on the same
Yeah.
day that they were prosecuting a guy who just killed like black individuals in Buffalo.
Well, she doesn't know. She's, privileged and living in a bubble.
Racist
Most
bubble.
of the people running for president are, right?
What'd you say?
Most of those people don't know what's going on in America when they're running for office. They live in a bubble.
I think that's true.
I hate making fun of Biden, but he does sometimes. He does look like he's like, what?
Yeah, he shouldn't run again. It's bad that there's no one else that they have available to, he should not run again. Probably.
Right. They should be like, I don't know. I can't think of the right word, but like they should be like trying to bring another person because like
Well, this is the problem, Evelyn, is that when Trump was president, I was very upset that people were, just with the Russia thing and all this stuff. I said, just let him finish out his term, and let's get somebody to beat him. Spend your time wisely in finding a Democrat to beat him.
I think Kamala's
and
running.
They didn't. They had 4 years, and they just said, we'll just go with Biden. And that's what bothers me. I'm like, well,
yeah,
try and find. There's got to be somebody. Scour the earth to find a Democrat to, fix everything.
Kamala? No,
I don't know if she's the one. People don't.
I don't
seem
think
to
she's
like
the
her.
one.
I think it's an electability thing. Like I don't think people like. I think at this point, like in our country, like a woman will not be elected president, and like certainly not a woman of color. Just the way that our culture.
I guess you got to start slow. A woman first, or.
Oh, I intend to run in 20 as how? Oh, as
Marina, maybe you should run. I would totally vote for you.
I should.
I'd probably vote for Evelyn too.
Can I tell you guys, I got so mad on stage this week.
Why?
Because I was talking about, now you can appreciate this, Juskow, the mask, and someone booed me. Now, no, it's not what you think.
You were on stage with the mask?
I always go on stage when I go on the stage with the mask and I take it off and I go into why I wear it. And I was about to explain, and not that them booing me about the mask, I could tell it was a fun boo. So I wasn't mad at the boo.
Okay.
Because it was more like boo, like that. Not like a real angry boo.
Right.
But then when I realized they were also black, that's when I got angry. That's what I got, because when I talk about analyzing why you get angry, I had to think. I said, why did I get so angry? I mean, I still killed on stage. I got to clarify. Like I still had a great set, but
you're a professional. That's why.
Yeah, but the thing is that the person didn't let me explain, and then when they said, I said, I asked, I go, who's booing? And they go, oh, it's me. I'm black. You can't see me. And I said, wow, really? I'm at the cellar. It's a mostly white audience. So I said, you see all these white faces and you gonna boo a sister like that during Black History Month.
Oh, that's brilliant.
You should be ashamed of yourself. Now, here's the funny part, right? The comedian before me had just been talking about that's traumatic. That was part of his set about going to therapy. They're Puerto Rican, and how the therapist, all they say is, oh, that's traumatic. So then I made him feel guilty. I said, okay, so now you want to know why I wear the mask? I go, because I had cancer. Now what? And the whole audience was like, ooh. And this white guy on the right goes, now that's traumatic.
That's funny.
I was like,
It's
thank
funny, and
you.
it's also like annoying when the audience gets a big laugh like that.
But it was so perfect. I
Even
said, thank you.
warranted. Yeah,
I
yeah.
said, thank you. But he was so serious. He was like, no, that's true. But you know what I loved about the whole moment, even though I got mad for a second and recovered, I have to stress, is that this is why live comedy is the best, right? Because you're never gonna get that on a special, like an hour,
Yeah.
unless they're doing crowd. That's why they try to do crowd work tours, so you can see that, like, sort of. Because I've never seen film capture that those moments that bring an audience together, because we were all in sync. Now, no matter what happened, like, even though I got angry and everyone was, all of a sudden they're jolted into this, like, less than passive engagement in stand up. They're like involved, they're engaged.
Yeah.
The guy is speaking up, this guy is like speaking up, and I'm interacting with them. And that's the part of, like, stand up that I cannot deny is the best part. And you have to be a good stand-up comedian to be able to handle those moments, by the way, because some people would really crumble, Juskow.
Yep.
And
She's completely right. Not going to deny that.
remember that woman that one
try,
time
and then
when I
we-
was talking about on your show, when I was talking about treatment? Remember that crazy girl in the front?
No.
was-
Oh God! When we were doing the live shows back before COVID.
Yes.
What happened?
And she was like, I was saying radiation treatment was like, it was fine for me. And she goes, how could it be? Remember that?
I do remember.
And she
it,
was like really pretty, and you could see that no one's ever told her in her life to shut up.
That's right. That's right. Right. You let her have it good. It was awesome. Right.
I never forget these people.
Wow. I totally forgot about that.
I was like,
just
you never
concentrating
in
on
your
what they
life
look
have been
like.
told to just shut your mouth, have you? I said, see, I don't want to sleep with you, so I have no problem telling you to shut it.
Yeah, I think I apologized after because I wanted to sleep with her.
Of course you did. You always make them after I make them cry. Juskow sleeps with them.
Yeah, I'm the worst comic.
I think it's a good time to go into some previews or some reviews of the Friends Like Us podcast, which is why we do this.
Yeah.
All right.
Look what TJ Eric Prince wrote. That's funny.
Yeah, so this first review comes from Twitter from Devin Nixon NP, who was responding to a tweet about the most recent episode, who said, I love the show. I'm interested in thoughts on Roseanne Barr's special. And then these last two come from Apple Podcasts. And the first one from N272 said, love the show, 5 stars. I'm so glad I found the show episode after episode of funny, smart, and witty, mostly women. I particularly love that, like myself, many of these women are over 40. I was really hooked when the house music started to play as I'm from Chicago. Comedy, women, and house music. Thank you, Marina. And
Welcome.
is simply awesome, 5 stars from Hydro, who said, I thoroughly enjoy this podcast. Everyone is so insightful and hella funny. I look forward to new episodes. So yeah, some really great reviews.
And now thank you, Evelyn, for that. Now I want to share a moment this week.
Then I started seeing that a lot of them, especially like Cicely Tyson, this other lady, Babette, who's in her 70s. They talk about a vegan program, whole food, plant-based, and it just feels healthier. And then Marina and I had the opportunity because we did Rachel Feinstein's baby shower during the pandemic and put it together. And she gifted us with Farm to People, which is like organic and stuff. So I really love the people over there. I was spotlighted as a customer because I've used them so much. I've gone to their Brooklyn location, and I love when Marina calls me. Marina used to call me and tell me she went to the farmer's market, and she goes super early, so I can never go with her because Marina loves going like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. She like to be the first one there so she can get her complaint letters in. But I just love hearing Marina talk about like the little stuff that she got. I never told her this, but it would just always make me feel good. She's like, I got that when I found this, and then she would show me certain things. She showed me that she was juicing, and I just really liked it. And I want to see what it can do for me. You know, always felt like everything was.
I love that. She's on a healthier path and she looks good in that episode. Like Kyle and I kept going, dang, her skin looks like, I just love that she's on that path right now.
She's trying to lose weight and just be healthier.
Just everything, healthier lifestyle. Cause like a part of that moment is she's talking about how she knows older, women who've passed away. And so she doesn't want to see that happening for her. So it's really great.
Sarah Silverman hosted the Daily Show this week, and one of her guests was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And I was actually surprised he was still alive, in the sense that usually people that are that tall don't live long. And she said, he has like a strict yoga regimen, and he takes care of himself in a different way, because you don't see a lot of 7 foot tall 80-year-old people. You know what I'm saying?
That's so true.
Yeah. So, but she says he works very hard at keeping it together, and I guess he meditates, and maybe that's helpful.
I once when I flew to Australia a couple of years ago on my first leg to LA, he sat behind me.
No way,
really?
Someone
was like, I forgot. So Ted Alexandro was like, did you do like the airplane joke? But he looked great. He looks so good. Living healthy, yes.
Yeah, and Yamanika was like glowing. Like she looked so good.
Yeah, she was. I noticed that.
Yeah, she was glowing, and she was back. She was behaving herself. She's off her. She even said it herself. She's like, I've been let off of my suspension.
I forgot about Rachel's bachelor or whatever, the baby shower we had during COVID.
Wasn't that fun?
And you recorded it, right? So we have it forever, because it was so much fun. Yeah, you did a good job.
I sent it to her. She has it for the rest, so she has that recording.
It's the weirdest thing. Like, no one has that. Because people have baby showers that they never like record like that. I mean, ironically, COVID, this is a good thing that came out of COVID. She'll have that for the rest of her life. Be able to show it to Frankie someday. All these famous comedians making fun of their mom and stuff. That's.
I feel like there's not enough reflection of that time that we all spent, and that there should be a little bit more of America or globally, just a moment just to say, we all did this. Now
I think we still need more time, because it still isn't like officially over. So I think that's the issue, but I agree 100%. Yesterday today I was just remembering, oh my God, that was like, I was remembering when we were doing the Comedy Cellar nightly show with everybody, and just how sad and lonely everything was, like outdoors, sad and lonely. I was just thinking about that. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Nobody's reflected on it yet, of how evil a time it was for all of us, the whole world. It's fascinating. It should have brought us together more.
Except for the one guy on the number C train. He likes to talk every time. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I need us to take a moment and reflect upon. You'll always have that, brother. But yeah, there needs to be that, because I was talking to a comedian last night about how if you look back at yourself, you could see moments of insanity, and I see it in my letter writing to remember when I complained to the farmers market, like I was going insane.
We remember.
The fish guy today, by the way,
was
going off today. He is such a funny personality, the fish guy at the farmers market. He was cursing, and he was like, I was like, this guy, someone needs to I remember I was like, can I get a picture of you? He goes, go ahead. Like, he's not fazed by it.
Take a picture?
He let me. He wasn't like shocked by it. He wasn't excited about it. He was just like, just take the picture. There was a new person at the farmers market that was, I don't think he liked me. He was selling Italian products, like stored peppers And I was just like, so what is this for? And he just looked like he didn't really have an answer. And then I said, how much is it? There's no price. He's like 10. And then he said $10, like he didn't think I could buy it. So I bought it to prove that he was wrong. And I said, I've never seen you. You know, I come here every week. This is my farmer's market. And he didn't know I was joking. And he was like taking me seriously. I was like, I've never seen you before. He goes, I'm usually out in Brooklyn. I go, are you going to continue being here? He goes, well, we'll be out in Brooklyn. I go, yeah, I don't live in Brooklyn. So I was like,
We'll probably never see him again.
Yeah, he didn't like me at all. I was like,
oh. As the state said.
Did you tell him to have a nice day? I should have. I should have told him to have a nice day.
You're gonna remember that forever now. Damn it. Don't you hate when you leave somebody and you don't say the right thing and you're like, oh, I got to go back. Like that Seinfeld episode. The jerk store called.
Because the guy who sells me my gluten-free bread, that guy knows me. We talk all the time. He tells me how he's selling his home, how he finally got a purchase. Today he was playing the music from Flashdance, and I told him how you, Dave Juskow, didn't like the movie, and he goes, "Who doesn't like that movie?
The movie's awful. The music is
He goes, it was a great movie. They had great music.
No, the movie's
so you guys can have that conversation the next time you go to the farmer's market because he
how old is he?
He's around your age.
Nobody liked that movie. It was awful. I mean,
I like the music because it's a nostalgic movie with the music. He was playing. He's
mistaken.
He was playing I forget which song. It was a Pat Benatar song. It was one of those but all the songs from the Flashdance movie, it's like very.
No, I'm not denying that the music was out, it was good for its time and it was, really popular. I think the soundtrack won the Grammy for the best album of the year, but the movie stinks. I mean, it doesn't hold up. Try watching it today. I dare anybody to sit through it and see if you can, without just getting angry.
I've watched it a couple of times in pieces, and yeah, there's parts that are like you felt bad for the woman who was actually the dancer,
right?
You're like, why didn't she get any credit?
Right, she got no credit. So I told you, SCTV made a joke about her that because she had a body double for her singing, or a double for her singing, a double for her dancing, and so on SCTV they said I also had a double for my acting. So that was the gag. It was Andrea Martin playing her.
That's funny.
The guy who played Elvis, I think he's being cast in something else. Didn't you say that? And he's losing his accent.
Yeah, he's in Dune.
Oh, you said that.
Oh, he's in the new Dune movie. Yeah,
Marina was telling me about that. He can't get rid of that accent.
Oh, he was receiving the award. I was like, when?
I hope he does. I hope he wins the Oscar. I can't believe Lisa Marie. I'd like to say thank you so much for everything you done.
I think it's like I think for a while he was kind of like stuck, like and like he just like couldn't like physically like change his like vocal cords to get out of it.
So he doesn't talk like that.
I think he's losing it now. Like I think it's finally going away.
We're gonna move on. We're not gonna play Elvis anymore.
That's not normally how he sounds.
Because I tweeted that I said something we're all thinking. When is he going to stop playing Elvis?
You called me. You're like, are you watching the Golden Globes? Who the fuck is this asshole? Sorry, I wasn't sure.
No, but it's like you just go. He can't be a good actor if he's still doing this. This is crazy.
Hey, you gotta be something else. You gotta be like her. So it's gonna hurt.
Yeah,
Lisa Marie. I can't believe it. So I'd like to say, who's gonna win?
When is the Oscars? The Oscars is March.
Brendan Fraser's gonna win, right?
It's like the first week of March, I think.
I tried to watch The Whale last night for the SAG screener. It's impossible with all their security. I can't see it. I'm dying to see it. It sounds great. He's probably going to die. Sorry, I was looking at Mike's thing. He's probably going to win. Brendan Fraser, I assume. He's seems to be the odds-on favorite. Let alone he does have a body of work, and if you can come from those silly 90s movies of all the comedies he made and all those nonsense and put together a performance like that, they love that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I agree.
I like the Norwegian movie. Not Norwegian.
What's that?
Why did I say Norwegian?
Because I
was going to say Narvik, not Narvik. I was starting to watch Narvik, and then I stopped, and then I watched the other one, On the Battlefront.
On the Quiet on the Western Front.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't wait to not see that.
That was so hard to watch, but I watched it in 3 days. It's depressing, but it's shot beautifully.
Yeah.
It's like really well done. Marina, we gotta. Oh, okay. Sujay, is this a date? Let's see. Let me read all this. Marina, we gotta go to the farmers market in one of the Hudson Valley towns. Okay.
Cool.
They would be shook if we showed up asking for fresh vegetables. It would be like, get out the farmers market for. Oh, really? Oh, she. Check that out. All right, it's a date, Sujay. Encino Man. Did you say Encino Man was the best? You're having fun, right?
He probably liked it. A lot of people liked that movie.
I can't remember.
As it was. I think
Is that the one
Blast
where
from
he's
the
like
Past
oiled
is the best.
up, or was that George of the Jungle? Or is it both?
I don't know. He plays the same character in both, so it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Oh, he's joking, TB. We missed you. We missed you and Stace this week on the Friends Like Us to watch us live. You said it could be me though. This week was kind of I think I put it together at the last minute. But next week we got another really great episode coming for you. Do not miss that. I'm trying to remember who was on it. I was like, I have so many guests that I like.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. It's just, I know I have Suba coming up. We're going to talk about her wedding, her Indian wedding, which I'm still trying to burn off the calories from. Oh my God. Anyway, we do have to get out. We had so much fun with all of you. Evelyn, tell our viewers what's going on with you or where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me as always at my website, evelynfrick.com, as well as on Twitter at Evelyn G. Frick. I am always posting new articles that I'm writing on there.
Great articles.
Oh, sorry, what was that? My audio cut out.
Oh, no, we heard you.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. No, I was saying great articles.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. About Jenny Slate, because we know you love her.
I do. This week I was writing about Eric Andre and Emily Ratajkowska, who
oh yeah, they are dating, right?
I think it's over now. I think it ended.
Are you sure? Because they had a post on Instagram where he was naked and she was.
Yeah, but no, like literally yesterday she posted something on TikTok about a situationship that just ended. So
that was fast.
It was fast. I was.
She was in the mirror.
I know it was a whole thing. I think it's done now, but which I'm sad about because I thought they were cute.
She looked good.
That was on Valentine's Day.
It was on Valentine's Day. I know.
Well, Valentine's Day is a legendary relationship breaker.
Is it?
Valentine's Day, birthdays, they're the worst.
I don't celebrate Valentine's Day.
I noticed. I was wondering where you were.
Unless Sujay.
I'm
joking. Sujay's probably all married and everything. I'm joking with you. As always, you guys are great. Thank you so much, Ted Chambers. You great too. You're always here. All of you are always great. Juskow, tell our viewers where they can find you.
Well, this Tuesday night with the Comedy Cellar Nightly Show at 6:00 on YouTube, I'll have comedian Danny Vermont on. He is a writer for Real Time with Bill Maher for the past 20 years. So he's an interesting guy. And the week after, we will have little Scotty Gornstein on, who is Liza Minnelli's publicist, and my friend Memo doing our Oscar picks.
Oh,
good times.
That's going to be fun.
I had my friend Jasmine on last week, and she's just a lawyer, but I've known her since she was 15. Now she's like 38, and it was really fun.
Sujay says, Evelyn, you need to read the Lit Hub article about how Kate Blanchett is our new Greta Garbo. Thanks to Tar and Carol.
I certainly will.
All right, now I got to see this Tar.
Oh, it's so good.
It is?
Yeah, it's on Peacock. If
you gotta, it's linguistically, I would say, like, it's you gotta pay attention. By the way, on Netflix, if you're not watching it, Red Rose is really good. It's, they speak with a British, so it may be difficult for some to follow.
Hello.
Because I hang around with them. I think there's some Irish, because I hang around with them, I can understand, but it's actually pretty good because they play all of like the 80s sort of like music, you know, like
Ooh.
it's very Euro.
Yeah.
I love, and it's like a mystery and a horror mixed in with like
What's it called?
teenage angst. Red Rose. I think that's.
I was writing it off until you said all those things, and I'm like, you know what? I got to check that out. Everything you're saying,
Red Roses,
working.
something. Yeah. Okay, Marina Franklin here. Just follow me at marinayfranklin.com. But most important, listen to the podcast, Friends Like Us. You can go on my Linktree, which is scrolling right beneath here, Linktree. It's also in the description. And that way you can find all the ways to listen to Friends Like Us. You can also become a friend on Patreon because we don't have ads. That's the way you can help us. But most important, send us a review and Evelyn will read it here, right here on the live stream set, and we'll give you a shout out for that. It's really important, especially on Apple Podcasts. It boosts our ratings. It's always good to do. Even if you've done it before, do it again. Go give us like 5 stars and tell us why you like us so much, okay? And tell us why you don't like Juskow, okay? That's always good.
Exactly.
Always important.
Yeah, so you should review this show.
And also
a review of the review show.
Yeah, a review of the review. A show within a show. Also on March 2nd through the 4th, I'm going to be at the Vermont Comedy Club in Burlington, Vermont, headlining. You know how I love Vermont so much. Colin Quinn texted me last night. He goes, "You really love Vermont too much." I was like, is it that obvious? So go and check me out March 2nd through the 4th. And then also I'll be on tour with Sarah Silverman. You can check out her dates. Just go to her calendar and find out where you can get those tickets. And her shows sell out fast. So don't walk, run. And don't forget to wash your hands. You can still wear a mask if you want to. And Black Lives Matter. Pieces.
Night, everybody.
Good night. Bye. Oh, Hector, boogie down. Bye.
Bye.